Hello everybody. Steph Millz is back, bringing you in episode 3 to his guide to Camille. Now, in the previous episode, episode 2, if you haven't seen it, I recommend you going to go check it out before you watch this. But in the previous episode, we discussed a lot of things. We did an overview of Camille's abilities. We discussed item builds. We did a showcase of mechanics, combos, and tricks, and we discussed champion matchups, or what I consider to be hard matchups, moderate matchups, and easy matchups. Now, there was one thing that I realized that I didn't really discuss in that last episode that I was actually going to discuss in this episode, and that was my preferred runes against those matchups. So my preferred runes against matchups like Jax's, Fiora's, Darius's, Renekton's, and such things. So in the first episode, I did do a discussion on what my preferred runes were in general, but I never really did a detailed, discussion on what runes that I would go against certain matchups and why. So in this episode, I'm pretty much going to touch on that because there's been people that's been asking me some questions on what runes that they would go, what runes should they go against certain champs. So I figured, why not make an episode about it? That way people can refer to it and people can, hopefully I can answer people's questions. So before we get started though, there is a couple things I do want to discuss though. I do want to give a special thank you to those that have been following me on Twitch, those that have been subscribing to my YouTube channel. Somehow I've been becoming an inspiration to Camille players out there, and it's surprising to hear that because I had an insecurity about my Camille playstyle. I felt like my playstyle wasn't going to appeal to Camille players out there because of the way that I do things. It was pretty much very different than what the average Camille player would do in terms of like the runes that I would choose against certain matchups, the items that I build, with my pathing, my item pathing, what I would build first, or why I would prefer one item over another, such things like that. And I felt like I wasn't going to appeal to many Camille players out there. I would feel like I wasn't going to appeal to many Camille players out there because I just felt like I was just going to be exiled. But I was wrong. Apparently my playstyle is now being discovered by people. People have been discovering me on Twitch. People have been discovering my guides. People have been watching me, paying attention to my highlights. They've been studying my guides. People have told me that they've actually sat through my hour-long guides and watched through every part and studied everything. And they told me ever since they watched me or discovered me, they have been able to improve in their games and they've been able to climb in the divisions because of me. So that actually touches my soul a lot because I just never would have thought that I would become an inspiration to players out there. I never would have thought that I would actually be the reason why people are able to climb in the ELO because of me. So it's like, wow, incredible. Thank y'all so much for the support. It means a lot to me. Please keep supporting me. It definitely does help me a lot. You guys stand with me, all the way. So, another thing though, if you haven't paid attention, your boy also hit Master Tier, and your boy also peaked at Grandmaster Tier 245 LP, so give your boy a round of applause for that because that is another big accomplishment because like he always says, he never would have thought he would have been able to reach that high in the ELO. Now, of course, if you want to be that kind of player that'd be like, oh, you're in low Grandmaster or such things, like 245 LP and Grandmaster is not that good. I'm like, dude, isn't that like halfway to Challenger? So it's like, that is an accomplishment for me because like I said, I thought I was going to be hard stuck in Diamond for a while because I was there for about 2 seasons. So yeah, I thought it was going to be rough for me to get out of there, but I was able to finally make it and I've been able to make some progress in the high elo. So you mad or no, man? But definitely want to give a thank you to those that have been following and supporting me. Those that also had faith in me because there's been moments where they've seen me at my lowest. They've seen me doubt myself. They see me at my lowest, think that I wasn't gonna make it. People that actually been sticking with me for a while. They've been having faith in me. They believed in me, and then I was able to make it happen. So it's like anything is possible when you put your mind to it, guys. Don't doubt yourself for a second, okay? So yeah, being in the high elo, also I've been able to meet some known faces such as like I'm a Cutie Pie, Tyler One, LO Stylish, TSM Beerson, Yasuo. I've been able to meet some known faces in the high elo in terms of playing matches with them or even against them. So it's definitely been quite an experience. I will say though that unfortunately I did tank pretty hard in the ranks. So going from Grandmaster 245 LP, I actually tanked all the way back to Diamond 2. That was a rough fall, dude. That was like a really rough fall. It almost had me on the verge of quitting. I'm not even gonna lie to you, I almost quit the game because of that. Because it was like I was getting loss after loss after loss after loss, and it was just like it was no end. Like even I would take breaks and come back, and I would still get losses, and I was like, it was just no end at one point. So once I got to the point where I was like, if I lose again, I'm just done. Now everything wants to work out. Now I'm back in master. Now I'm actually climbing myself back up, and it's just like I had a heavy fall. It was really rough, but hey, I had to keep a strong mentality. Gets you places. Remember that. Strong mentalities get you places, okay? Don't be toxic, don't tilt, none of that. Just keep a strong mentality, and I promise you it will get you places. Understand? That's one thing I live by when I'm playing League. All right. So that's, and another thing I do want to discuss is, yes, there has been changes ever since the last episode that I've made. So last episode, that was before Keanu was released. That was before Mordekaiser's rework. That was before some champions got changed. That was before some champions got buffed. And I'm like, I gotta do a little recap on certain matchups now. And I also gotta discuss some of the I gotta discuss how to deal with champs now that have actually changed or got buffed. So first things first, where is he at? I gotta bring him out first in order to, I gotta get it over with. This guy, yes, this guy. For those that don't know, Renekton was listed as a hard matchup in our last episode. And if you also didn't know, Darius was permabanned from, I said Darius was permabanned by me. You know, Darius was a really hard matchup to where it was like, it was always really tough dealing with him. So I just felt like permabanning Darius was the best bet. But no, permabanning Renekton is now the new wave. And you want to know why? This is why. This new change that they put to Renekton is why he gets permabanned by me. If Renekton has more than 50 Fury, he slashes his target 3 times, destroying damage shields on the target. I just want to take a moment. I just want to take a little moment. I just want to figure out why Riot would actually add that ability to Renekton. I don't understand what was the purpose of adding this ability to this champion. I don't understand it. I don't think many players understand. I know Renekton mains are happy about it. I know they were jumping up for joy. I know that they were probably throwing a feast or throwing a party about it. But us other players that pretty much despise Renekton, we're looking like, what was the purpose of it? Why did they need to add the destroying damage shields part? Why? Because Renekton's kit is already designed to be able to win the lane against most matchups, especially against Camille, because early game Camille's laning phase is extremely weak and Renekton's is super strong. So it's like, what was the purpose of adding what was the purpose of adding this part? I don't understand it. I really don't understand it. It makes it incredibly hard to counterplay him now, because literally your passive shield was the main reason why you could actually kind of stand a chance against him in the lane. If you trade good with the passive, then you would be able to pretty much beat the lane if you were good with it. But now this, it's like it's like little to no counterplay against him now. So it's like he gets permabanned by me. Darius is now becoming more tolerant. I'd rather tolerate Darius than I would tolerate Renekton now. So ever since that new little buff they added to Renekton, he will never see light of day on the Summoner Rift, unfortunately. So if anybody doesn't know, I recommend banning Renekton permanently. You might have to suck it up dealing with Darius's, but do not let Renekton step foot on the Rift, okay? So another thing, who else got to change? Poppy also got to change. With her W, Steadfast Presence. If she stops the dash with her W, the enemy is slowed and grounded. Kind of don't know why this was necessary, but it just more so, it's not really a big problem. It just makes you more cautious in terms of using your hook shot whenever she has this ability up. So if she catches you mid hook shot with this ability, just know that you're gonna be screwed. You're gonna be really screwed more than you were before. So Yeah, that's more so the bigger change. She's still a difficult matchup, in terms of laning, but you still outscale her, so it's okay. But you just have to be very careful in how you use your hook shot, as long as she has that ability up. All right, so that's really a noticeable change with her. That's all I can really say about that. Kiana was introduced. Kiana is an assassin, an AD assassin. She's mostly played in the jungle, mostly yeah, she's mostly played in the jungle or mid lane. You don't really see her up top lane that much. If you do, you actually you kind of can beat her mid pre level 6 though. It is really dangerous depending on how good the Kiana is. She does scale really good into the late. She does really scale really good mid and late game. She is an assassin after all, so her burst is very strong. She is a force to be reckoned with. She also can actually outplay Camille in terms of your usage with hookshot, because remember, her ultimate knocks you back, and it's also even worse if it knocks you into a wall, because remember, it procs the earth element, which stuns you and does massive damage. So it's very more of a it could turn into a skill matchup against Kiana. But late game though, Camille, even though she scales good into the late game as an assassin, Camille naturally is able to withstand her, because Camille has her true damage with her Q. She can just one shot. She also has if you're really good, you also can pretty much outmaneuver Kiana in a sense. You can outplay her. You can dodge her ultimate, because her ultimate is essentially a skill shot too, so you can dodge it still. If not with hook shot, you can dodge it with your ult as well. So it's more so turns into how fast are you in terms of dodging abilities and such things. So another thing, let's see, Pantheon. Yes, Pantheon is also getting a rework. I've looked over his abilities. He has I could tell, in my opinion, he's going to be very good at skirmishing. Very good skirmisher. He's going to be pretty good. Yeah, he's going to be very good at skirmishing and such things. But I'm sure Camille naturally, just like in his just like before his rework though, Camille of course naturally is going to be able to outscale him. He's only good in skirmishing. He could be a lane bully at times too, but in turn, when I looked at his kit from the PBE server, or what people have been posting about him on YouTube, he looks really strong. I say looks really strong for skirmishing, but in terms of like I said, being a really big problem with Camille, I'm glad they took off the auto target Qs, which means his Q is now a skill shot. Really, it's essentially like Pyke's Q now, where he can charge it up and deal some more damage with it and such things. But it's more so like I don't really see him being that much of a problem as much as he used to be in the early levels, before rework and such things. So I'm actually going to be waiting until he gets released on the live server to actually discover how much of a problem he might be in lane. Because I feel like once he gets released on live, a lot of players are going to try to play him. They're going to try him out. But a lot of players are unless they've been playing on the PBE server the whole time, a lot of players aren't really going to know exactly how to properly play him. So it kind of gives you the advantage to exploit, a lot of flaws or a lot of weaknesses that they might not figure out yet. So that, so yeah, that pretty much touches on as far as changes that I could think of. If there's any changes or anything that I missed, feel free to leave in the comment section, and I'll reply to it. In terms of if you had any questions on what to do against certain people and such things like that. So, without further ado, let's go to the preferred runes now. Starting off with Jayce. This is going to be starting off with the hard matchups first, alright? Hard matchups first, bro. If you looked at the last episode and you saw the list of what I considered hard matchups, I'm going to go straight down the list, alright? So starting with Jayce. My preferred runes with Jayce is the grass build, actually. The grass build. Shield Bash, Bone Plate, and Overgrowth. Sorcery secondary. You can actually go Absolute Focus, or you can go Celerity. Celerity is really good in terms of bonus movement speed. Now the idea with Celerity, because what I do against Jayce is that I actually max my Q. Surprisingly, yeah, I max my Q, which people will be like, why are you maxing Q when you know he can just counter strike you? The trick about it is that since Resolve already gives you extra durability, it's like you can take Jayce leap striking on you, because if you have Bone Plating up, he's not really going to be able to do as much damage, especially in the early game. A lot of Jacks will try to bully you in the lane. They'll try to leap strike on you. If you're not close enough to a wall, then of course they'll try to engage with a fight, counter strike. But of course, if you have bone plating and resolve in general is really good for durability, so you'll be able to withstand a lot of punishment. You'll be able to withstand a lot of punishment, and by maxing Q, you'll also be able to get the most out of the grass procs. You know, the proc and grass, proc and shield bash, and also having sheen. You know, or actually in that case, I actually go for phage first against Jacks because it's all about movement speed. Like if you see a Jax leap strike on you and you're not close to a wall, you're at least able to move away from them fast enough. Especially if you have like a phage or have celerity, which increases your bonus movement speed. So you're able to at least move fast. That way you can at least get away from his counter strike if you can, or you can kind of put yourself in the position where you can actually react to his engage. Because remember, when he leap strikes on you, he can't escape. He has no escape for a few seconds. So you want to take advantage of that, even if he's trying to commit to the trade against you. You know, once he leap strikes and counter strikes, but you have the power to pretty much react as soon as the counter strike is down. You don't want to initiate your Q the moment you see him counter strike on you. You want to wait for it. You want to wait. So you can let him jump on you. You just don't want to let him jump on you too much though. But if you're at max health and he jumps on you and he's trying to initiate a trade, you can withstand it. You can take it. All right, go ahead, leap strike on me. Go ahead, counter strike. But the moment that counter strike is down, you're going to regret it. So that's my preferred runes against Jacks. I prefer the grass build, as well as sorcery secondary, or you can actually revert to precision secondary. You can go bloodline, you can go triumph and such things, or you can add extra armor runes. Personally, I like playing a risky style, which is really surprising for most people, by not going any armor runes, going full damage runes, and also going the HP scaling runes, which actually pretty much, it's not really noticeable. It's kind of noticeable in the early game, having the 15 plus extra health, especially if you're going Duran first. Extra health is on top of overgrowth and the scaling health from grass, so essentially you're going to be a lot more durable in the lane. So remember, Jax's early game is kind of mediocre, kind of as weak as yours is. So you know, the grass build does really help make up for the early game weaknesses that you have. So that's my preferred runes for Jax's, okay? Now, next matchup is Darius. Next matchup for Darius. Despite him being a very big problem in the lane, but he's not as big as a problem as the new Renekton is. So I prefer going this is the preferred runes number 3. This is the grass build again. However, it's switched up with precision secondary, and it also is switched up with a bit more sustain in the lane. Second wind, if you can go, usually you can go if you feeling a little bit if you're feeling like you want to play a bit safe in the lane, you can go Duran shield first, combine that with second wind, which also gives remember, second wind and Duran shield can proc when Darius has a bleed stack on you. So if he has bleed stacks on you, remember, you have some pretty good sustain in the lane with second wind and Duran shield. You can go revitalize, increase the amount of healing that you get from your W and such things. You can go bloodline for increase sustain, increase the lifesteal if you're going Duran's blade first and such things. And you can also resort to going extra 80 runes, or you can go the double armor runes, just to be on the safe side, because Darius is naturally hard in the lane. So it's, you know, it's okay to resort to that. Don't feel like you're bad, or feel like, you know, you shouldn't resort to going double AD runes, such things, against hard matchups, because you want to make the laning phase easier for yourself. You know, if you have to resort to something like that, then by all means feel free, if it helps you in the lane against hard matchups like him, against matchups that's designed to win, against champions that are designed to be able to win the lane and such things. So you want to resort to whatever it is that can help you out the best way that you can. So the next matchup is Fiora. Now, there's two choices that I go with Fiora. Now, I'm sorry, there was one thing that I also wanted to discuss that I should have discussed first thing first. Was I discovered a new rune that I like to go. And that is Hail of Blaze, baby. Hail of Blades. This is a new keystone that I wish that I chose. Sorry, I'm screwing up in my words right now. That I wish that I chose a while back, because I am now discovering just how strong Hail of Blades is on Camille. This is one of the keystones that I actually prefer to go personally. This is not something I recommend everybody go, but I recommend that it's a keystone that should not be underestimated. It's a keystone that should not be overlooked, you know? I know the Domination primary rune page is pretty bad. You know, you got Taste for Blood, you got Cheap Shot, or you got Sudden Impact, you got Eyeball Collection, which, I mean, Eyeball Collection and the Ghost Portal, Zombie Wars, it's good in terms of the AD scaling, in terms of the AD scaling, but it's like, the most that you'll probably end up, that I use is the eyeball scaling. Every takedown, I guess every assist, or, you know, every kill that I get extra AD on top of that. So it really is good. It's good for late game, you know, because late game you'll be fighting a lot. And if you give a lot of assists, or it's actually good for snowballing as well, because if you're actually doing good in the early game, you get a couple kills or you get a couple assists, it gives you extra AD. So it's actually not bad. Ravenous Hunter though, you know, the Ravenous Hunter, Ingenious Hunter, Relentless Hunter, Ultimate Hunter, all runes are not really good for Camille. The only thing that's really noticeable is Ravenous Hunter in terms of the amplifying the healing with her abilities by a really small amount. If you're going Death Stance, it's a small increase as well, but it's like, nah. That's pretty much the only good choice that I would recommend. You can go Relentless Hunter if you're looking to roam a lot. If you're looking for extra mobility in terms of you know, having more map control, you can go Ultimate Hunter and such things, and such to reduce cooldown. But more so, I always go Ravenous Hunter. Now, the trick with Hail of Blades is what I want to discuss. I actually prefer going this over Press the Attack. Let me explain this. Well, let me explain. Wait. I'm sure people are about to sit there and wonder, why is he choosing Hail of Blades over Press the Attack? Now, let's overlook what Hail of Blades does. Gain 110% attack speed when you attack an enemy champ for up to 3 attacks. No more than 2 seconds can elapse between attacks on this effect, or this effect will end. Cooldown 4 seconds out of combat. Attack resets. This is the sleeper. This is the sleeper that I think people are like forgetting about. Attack resets increase the attack limit by 1. Allows you to temporarily exceed the attack speed limit. Camille can reset her autos 3 times. Actually 4, when you really think about it, 4 times. 2 times with her Q, 1 time with Tiamat, and if timed correctly, if you ult while the Hail of Blades passive is up, it also gives you, it kind of gives you a free, another free hit in terms of the high attack speed. So essentially 4 times Camille can benefit from this, there's 4 benefits from this Hail of Blades runes on Camille. There's her auto resets, and the greatest thing about it is the fact that you don't have to rely on hook shot to get the attack speed boost that you would get from it passively. You know, like you hit with your hook shot, you get like at max rank you get 80% attack speed. But before you even max hook shot, you have the opportunity to gain 110% attack speed for the next like a total of like 5 hits, because you can auto reset your attacks for about 5 hits in total. You got to gain a burst of 110% attack speed. On Camille, this is incredible. And think of it like going Electrocute, but better. Think of it like that, because you have with the Domination primary runes, you actually have some good AD scaling in terms of late game from Eyeball Collection. You can either go Precision Secondary for Lifesteal, because if you combine the Lifesteal with the Taste for Blood, you have really good sustain, or you can also go Absolute Focus and Gathering Storm for even more late game scaling AD. So essentially, if you build right with this, your late game is incredible with the 110% attack speed burst on top of the attack speed burst that you gain when you land hook shot. You are going to be incredibly strong in terms of being able to do, in terms of dueling, in terms of just fighting anybody. Like, think about it. Think about the attack speed gain that you have from Hail of Blades combined with her hookshot game. It's like, it's incredible. It's not to be underestimated. It's like, it's the burst attack speed that gives you the crazy damage. I think people overlook that. People feel like Hail of Blades is not good on Camille for some reason, or they think it's not viable because people aren't doing it. But I personally use it in like so many matchups. If I feel like I can hard outscale my laner, I will go Hail of Blades, and I will show you late game as to why this keystone should not be ignored. This keystone should not be laughed at. I have a montage that's dedicated to Hail of Blades. If you haven't seen that, it's in the link in the description below. Go check that out. It's a showcase of what Hail of Blades can do on Camille. So this keystone is amazing. If you would love to try it, I recommend it. I don't recommend you following every single thing that I do though, but this keystone is not to be ignored, okay? Do not doubt Hail of Blades, all right? So now, back to this, back to the matchups. I'm sorry, that was one thing I had to discuss in that. So Fioris, that's where I left off at. Fioris, you can either go two ways with this. Well, actually, you can go three ways. You can go the grass build, because a lot of Fioras that I actually face, for some reason, they love to go the grass build. They love that early game. They love that strong lane, early game, lane and phase type thing, where they're able to poke you with the Qs and they're able to proc the grass on you and such things. And it's like it really like grass is really good. The resolve rune page in general is really good for laning, especially if you feel like you're going against a person that's naturally going to be able to beat you in the lane. It really does make up for it. So a lot of Fioras will actually I face will actually use it against Camille's, and it actually does make the laning phase a lot harder because the grass is actually really strong. On top of, if they go bone plating, it's really hard to trade with them because they're going to be really tanky in a sense. But grass does really fall off a bit mid-late game, but it's like in terms of what it does early game, the extra durability makes up for that. So if you're going against Fioras, my preferred runes is the grass runes. You can go, there's another way you can go. You can go the Arcane Comet. You can actually zone her, or you can harass her with your W in a sense. The thing about Arcane Comet though is that it's really good for early game in terms of like applying that pressure, being able to zone and being able to harass them down. But Arcane Comet on Camille really falls off mid and late game. It actually falls off a lot harder than Grasp actually does, because you're not really going to be able to look to you're not looking to like poke anymore. You're pretty much looking, because you're scaling up, so you're looking to fight. You're looking to be able to one shot with Qs and such things. So the Arcane Comet just looks like it just doesn't do anything at one point. It doesn't even matter, in terms of late game anymore. So it's more so meant for a lane and phase type thing. So you can actually use this against Fioris to apply the pressure on her, make it hard for her in the lane, be able to harass her and zone her down and such things. Or you can actually resort to the Hail of Blades runes, which I actually do myself a couple times. In terms of being able to, it's more so being able to trade with her a lot better, because with Fioris that her parry is the reason why you're not able to like be able to full on engage on her, because her parry is, if you can't even hook shot on her as long as she has her parry up. So Hail of Blades, and this is situations where Hail of Blades can make up for that. If you know that you can't use your hook shot because they have an ability that counters it, and you're not going to be able to benefit from the extra attack speed that you get from it, this is where Hail of Blades will be able to make up for that. Remember that. As soon as you initiate an auto attack on a champion, you gain a burst of 110% attack speed, and if you reset your autos with your Qs and TMX, you can maintain that up to a couple extra hits. So you don't have to rely on hookshot for the attack speed boost. You can get the most out of your short bursty trades with Hail of Blades. So think of it like that. So those are my preferred runes for Fiora. Now Poppies. I find myself actually going against using the Hail of Blades runes again against Poppies, only because I know I'm going to hard outscale her late game, so it's more so of like, why not? And it's easy to trade with her with Hail of Blades. You got to think about it for a second. You're not going to be able to hook shot in on a Poppy, so you get the most out of the Hail of Blades. You get the most out of trading with Hail of Blades because you have that attack speed burst. So you can resort to that, or you can resort to Grasp. Plain and simple. Another thing, I'm sorry, one thing I want to add is when I do say that I resort to going to the Halo Blades builds, I'm also resorting to going the hard carry build. So if you feel like Halo Blades doesn't work for you, or you feel like you just don't want to use Halo Blades, this is where I also just recommend you resorting to press the attack or conquer, whichever works for you. So when I say I go Halo Blades, I'm opening the window of opportunity for you to go press the attack or conquer. So if I'm telling you I go Halo Blades in this matchup, that's like a substitute for press the attack or conquer. So if I go Halo Blades, you can go Halo Blades too, or you can go press the attack or conquer, whichever works for you. Okay, so yes. So now Renekton's, if you somehow allow Renekton in your lane, I don't know why you would allow Renekton in your lane after those changes, but grass build, the third grass build that I have is the sustain. You can actually trade second wind out for bone plating or add conditioning, which I would recommend going condition. Actually, I would either recommend either conditioning or bone plating, because it's a mess dealing with them now because that's shield breaker. The one thing that I used to resort to, this was even before the shield breaker even came to Renekton. One thing that I used to resort to is I would actually maximize my tenacity. So I would actually go unflinching, and I would even go legend tenacity, and I will also stack up on double armor runes. So this actually really helps in terms of when he does hit you with his W at his max fury, you can actually react a lot faster against them, you know, because you have tenacity that's going to be scaling up. Every summoner spell that's on cooldown, you gain 15, you gain an extra 10% attack, you gain an extra 10% tenacity and slow resistance, and after you cast a summoner spell, you gain an extra 15% for 10 seconds. So having tenacity against a champ that has a heavy stun like that is actually really effective. So I don't doubt it for a second. This is probably what I have to resort to when I go against Renekton's now. Full on tenacity build, double armor runes, and just making sure I don't lose the lane against him, because it's a freaking mess going against him, man. It's just an absolute mess. Let me change this back. It's just a mess going against Renekton's now, man. So yeah, that's what I would go against Renekton's now. I did try the Halo Blades against Renekton's. It was really effective against them, but like I said, with this new shield breaker now, like I said, it changes everything. The shield breaker changes everything. Alright? So, next matchup is Jayce. Actually, you can go Halo Blades, press the attack, conquer, whichever suits you against Jayce, because you're going to hard outscale him now. The problem with going keystones like this, where you're going to hard outscale late game, is this the early game. You know, if you mess up your early game, you're actually going to be very weak to the point where it's going to be really hard for you to get to that late game. So if you want to be on the safe side, you can go arcane comment, you can go resolve secondary, and pretty much add some extra defense to you. That way he can't really harass you that much in the lane. But if you're more so the careful type player, you can go the regular carry runes, and you can be able, once you get your items, then you'll be able to withstand him in a fight completely, because Jayce, of course, is going to fall off late game. He's really strong in the early game, but he really falls off in the late game. So once you get to your late game, this is where keystones like Halo Blades, press the attack, and conquer will be able to shine. So yeah, that's my preferred keystones for Jayce. If you're still going against the old Pantheon before the rework, you can go arcane comment is my best bet. Adding double armor runes is the best bet as well. Maximize your poke damage with W. You know he's going to be able to harass you in the lane with his Qs, but you know this is before the rework happens. So when the rework happens, this is going to change, or depending on what I feel like, depending on how I play, or depending on what I see him do, or how he does in the lane against me, then that will determine whether what runes I would actually prefer going against them. So be on the lookout. When the Pantheon rework comes through, I'm going to change this, but this is so far where it stands for the current Pantheon before his rework comes. All right, so that's, or you can also resort to the Halo Blades if you were looking to hard outscale them. Press the attack, conquer, whichever suits your playstyle. If you want to play her like a carry all the time, then you can do that. But if you want to make the laning phase a lot easier for yourself, then Arcane Commons were preferred. Rengar tops are really actually extinct a bit. Not really too extinct, but this is rare. Really rare. I don't really see Rengars up top as much as I used to, but I would resort to the grass room page. I will go to the this is the sustain, the grass room page that gives sustain. You can go second wind. You can actually go bone plating actually in this case. You can go double armor runes because you know he's gonna abuse the brushes. He's gonna leap strike. He's gonna leap on you anytime you're close enough. So he's really strong in the early game, but you do outscale him late game. It's just a matter of how you fend off against him in the early game. If you mess up in the early game, he's actually gonna be a really big problem to you. So this is what I feel like is best to go against them in a way, or this is what I choose to go against them. You can also switch Last Stand and go to Coup de Grace, or you can go Triumph. A lot of people recommend going Triumph as well in terms of precision in general. I know the extra the health for gain and the extra 20 gold is really important to Triumph. It's really important when it comes to Triumph. I prefer trying to go that little extra mile in terms of maximizing damage. So going Coup de Grace or going Last Stand, in terms of that, it's what I feel like it suits me better. It's not really noticeable, but it's more so I feel like maybe it can be. Maybe I'm just thinking too much. Maybe I'm just thinking it's not noticeable too much, or maybe it just is. I don't know. I just feel like it's comfortable for me in terms of just maximizing damage as much as possible. So that's what I prefer to go against Rengars. I haven't tried Hail of Blades against Rengars, though. It's I just recommend being on the safe side in terms of the laning. Akali's. Next is Akali's. Arcane Comment all the way. You can go extra AD, or you could go magic. You can double magic resist runes, only because naturally in the lane, Akali is pretty difficult to handle in terms of her Q harass, and if she's really aggressive, she'll try to Q harass you, and she'll try to walk in and try to hit you with her empowered autos all the time. There's two different kinds of Akalis though. You got the Akalis that pretty much try to harass you as much as they can with their Qs in terms of you trying to farm. They'll try to zone you from it all the time. Or you got the Akalis that play super aggressive, that use their Qs to zone you, and when they get their empowered autos, they use their shroud to try and to try and stay invisible. That way they can proc their autos against you. They can proc their empowered autos against you. They use their shroud aggressively, which leaves them open once it's on cooldown. So once the shroud's on cooldown, that's a perfect time for you to be able to all-in engage on her. Because of course, if you try to, there's Akalis that save it. There's Akalis that save their shroud for when you do try to engage on them, and then there's Akali players that use it aggressively. So it's more so when the shroud is down, that's when you can all in. That's when you can all in trade with her. When it's up, or when you know that it's up, your best bet is to try to make her forcefully use it on the defense. You could just harass her with harass her with your W, be able to zone her back. Arcane Comment is really good in terms of poking, and Scorch as well, increasing your mana with Mana Flow Ban, Absolute Focus, and such things like that, and Resolve Secondary, Overgrowth Second Wind. You can also go, if you're looking to play really defensive against an Akali, because she's going to be very aggressive with the pokes on her Qs, you can go Duran's Shield and benefit that from Second Wind as well. So yeah, those are my preferred for Akali. Gangplanks, actually for Gangplanks, it's the same thing. Recommend going Arcane Comment, or I prefer going Arcane Comment. Same runes, actually the same exact runes for the Akali, except you just got double armors, because for a fact his Q harass is going to be a pain to deal with in the lane. So nothing much to really be said about that. Same thing. You do know that Arcane Comment though kind of really does fall off mid-late game. It's once the later phase is over, so you'll be able to kind of still deal a really good sizable damage depending on what you're building as well. So that's really my preferred runes for Gangplanks. Teemo's actually is the same thing. I'm back again. Same thing with Teemo's. Double magic resist runes in this case, because Teemo's is a pain to deal with in general. It's really hard to go the carry build against Teemo's, because you have the Teemo. There's two types of Teemo players as well, similar to the Akalis. You have the Teemo players that pretty much try to harass you the moment you're trying to farm. They try to poke you with their autos as much as they can. And then you have the Teemo players that also, they actually, when they poke you with their autos, they're actually waiting for you to try to fight back before they hit you with the blind. So you got those kind of Teemo players that wait for you to try to react before they hit you with the blind, and then you got those that just completely just try to harass you as much as they can, hit you with autos, hit you with blind, you know, as much as they can to try to harass you and make the laning phase way harder for you. So to be on the safe side, I recommend going Arcane Comment to maximize your poke damage with your W. You want to just zone him with W as much as you can. It's really risky trying to go in and it's really risky trying to engage on him in terms of the type of Teemo players that he is. If he saves his blind for your engaged, then you know it's going to be a problem. You know it's going to be hard to really fight him in the lane. So your best bet is just to poke him down as much as you can. Get him low enough, that way you can just finish him off. That is my preferred runes for Teemos. You know, I despise Teemos with a passion. This is what I feel like makes the lane. That's what makes the lane easier for me. So on the last on the hard matchup list was Sion. I don't see Sions as much as I did in the I don't see Sions as much as I used to in the past. So really, what I do go against Sions is the grass build with sorcery secondary, same as before. Extra durability, extra HP scaling to kind of match his HP scaling, you know, with his W passive every time he kills a minion. Overgrowth kind of like, you know, kind of matches with that in a sense. Not as much, but you know, when you think about it though, it does. So yeah, in terms of laning, you'll be really strong against a Sion with these preferred runes, and yeah. That's really what I will go. And another thing I will resort to against Sions is that I will also resort to going tenacity build, like I did with the Renekton. I did used to do that at one point because, you know, if you get hit by his Qs, you know, the stun from his Qs. If you get hit by a max charge Q, or if you get hit by a charged up Q, you know the stun does last a bit longer than it should. Especially if you get hit by his ult too. But really, you should almost never get hit by his ult, because you have your ult. If your ult's up, then you should never really get hit by it. But you know, his stuns from his Qs, the slows from his W and such. No, not his W. I think it's E or such things, or whatever his ability is. Whatever key his ability is. But you know, the tenacity does help you get out of that a lot faster. So that's another thing you can resort to as well. And also getting cut down. That is rare that I would go cut down, but you know, it's whatever. You don't have to go double armor runes. You don't have to if you want to be on the safe side, you can. But for the most part, the grass primary with sorcery secondary for the 80 scaling and extra health is what I would prefer to go to as well. So moving over to the moderate matchups now. This is where I talk about skill-based matchups and matchups that can go either way, can go even and such things. So first things first, I actually go with either way. The same thing, grass build, sorcery secondary, or I actually go Hail of Blades, or press the attack, conquer, whatever it feels like is for you. Now in this case, I actually do like to go, yes, precision secondary for bloodline and such things. Go bloodline and go into Coup de Grace and such things. Maximizing on damage in this case. So maximizing lifesteal for late. It's either a choice when it comes to when it comes to precision and sorcery. It's a decision whether it's a decision between if I want to go late game extra lifesteal, or late game extra AD. I think I've said that before. I think I said that earlier. If I hadn't, then yeah, I said it now. So extra late game lifesteal or extra AD scaling. So it's more so a choice, whatever preference, whatever I'm feeling. You know, this is more so of a feeling thing. Whatever I'm feeling for in this matchup, because it can go either way. But you do, of course, you really do outscale I really pretty well in the late game, because you have true damage and you can dodge her combos and you can dodge her abilities and dodge her combos and such things. So it's fine. That's my preferred. Or you can resort to the secondary grass build, which is for some extra sustain in the lane too, because you know that it does have some sustain from her Q, and she goes corrupting potion all the time. So this can match that in a sense. I mean, if you start Duran Blade too, you know. So yeah, that Ribbons. My preferred runes is same as before, grasp, sorcery secondary, or even the Hail of Blades or press the attack, conquer. All right, Nothing really much to be said about that. Hail of Blades really is good against carries like Irelia and Rivens because, like I said, you don't have to rely on your hook shot for the extra attack speed boost. So when it comes to short bursty trades, you have the attack speed to be able to win those trades all the time, almost all the time. So understand that. So yes, Aatrox is a freaking pain to deal with in the lane, man. But my best bet with going against Aatrox is going to grass build or with some extra sustain, or I would even go to grass build with sorcery secondary, or if I'm actually feeling like I can actually do a good. It depends on the keystone that Aatrox's go as well. You also want to be mindful of you won't know what keystones they have until the game starts, of course. But it's like if you see an Aatrox that has Resolve secondary, you know that they probably have bone plating, so you know that they have an extra bit of durability in the lane, which makes it hard for you to actually be able to trade with them as long as that's up. So when it comes to stuff like Hail of Blades, you know, or press the attack, you know somebody with bone, if you're trying to fight somebody that has bone plating, then you know that it's going to be really hard to maximize on damage because bone plating kind of counters those short bursty trades that Camille is known for. So if he isn't going Resolve secondary, if he's going like Domination secondary like usual, or going Domination secondary or Sorcery secondary, or even Aatroxes that go grass builds and such things, but they don't have bone plating, just know that this Hail of Blades is really good for short trades against them, or the grass build is actually good for really good burst trades with one hit with Qs. Okay, so that's Aatrox for you. Now Olaf, I don't see Olafs in the lane as much as I used to before, but the best bet that I would go against an Olaf would be the grass build, sorcery secondary, or even the Hail of Blades runes. I went against an Olaf with this once and completely destroyed him in the lane, which is really funny. So you can go that or the press the attack, conquer, rune page, whatever it feels like, whatever it feels comfortable for you. Now Tryndamere's, my #1 best choice for this one is the grass build with the precision secondary, bloodline, last stand, extra AD, or you can go the double AD runes if you're feeling on the safe side, but revitalize, second wind, or bone plating. Excuse me, this page right here, I almost never have a problem with Tryndamere's like that. Well, as long as I go this key, as long as I go this room, these room pages, I almost never have a problem with Tryndamere's up in the lane. It's actually really risky going with Hail of Blades, only because, you know, Tryndamere, you can't really, it's hard to be able to fight Tryndamere's in terms of dueling, because you want to be really mindful of how much fury he has. If he has low fury, then you'll be able to benefit from Hail of Blades very good. But if he has like mid to high fury, especially if he has lethal tempo, trying to trade with him, even though you have the short fast bursty, you have the fast bursty trades with the attack speed, you're still kind of squishy in a sense to where he'll be able to kind of out trade you in a sense. So I went against a couple Tryndameres with Hail of Blades, and while I did do good, there's certain cases where it's like I feel like it can be not a good idea to go against them in certain matches, depending on the player. You know what I'm saying? So most sort to be on the safe side, 100%. This is the best bet. Well, this is my best bet for Tryndamere. So, man. Wukong is also getting another change. I also discovered that he's getting a change to his kits, to his Q, his playstyle, and such things. I don't see him in the lane as much as I did before. He's actually really like he's actually extinct in terms of lane and in terms of even jungle too. I haven't seen him at all. For real. But for the best bet, bro, for my best bet for going against Wukong, the grass build. Oh, it's always you. A lot of times you'll really see me go the grass build and sorcery secondary in like a lot of matchups, because it just shows just how good. It just shows how easily you can dominate the lane against certain champions with just a different kind of a different kind of rune, man. Like this rune page is actually my most favorite rune to go in like various matchups. So if you ever go against a Wukong up top, I do recommend that. Or if you want to be really risky in terms of hard outscaling, you can go for Hail of Blades, press the attack, conquer, whatever suits you. Now Kled, I'm sorry, Kled was another dude that I should have discussed. Well, I didn't really need to really discuss him that much, but Kled was also got a buff to his Q, which applies grievous wounds, well, healing reduction, 60%. if he hits you with the second part of his Q. Remember, the first part of his Q is like a timer, where he hits you with it, deals damage. If it stays on you for more than, I believe, what, like 1.5 seconds, 2 seconds or something, and then it just reels you in. But the second part of the Q now applies that healing reduction. So people say this is what makes Kled strong now, and I'm just looking like, it's like, man, it's not a change that's freaking too strong, like Renekton's change. It's more so of like a meh, like just dodge his Q. It's just that simple. You can dodge his Q, or you could just pretty much like get out of the way fast enough for his before the second part of his Q goes off. So it's more so of like a just dodge his Q, and it's not really that much of a problem. My best bet with Kled is I actually do go the Hail of Blades rooms against him, only because I know I'm going to be able to outscale him, and it also makes it really, really good, really rewarding when you play aggressive against a Kled when he misuses his abilities. Hail of Blades, one thing I want to touch on too. Hail of Blades is really, really good at punishing. Really good at punishing. So if anybody misses their abilities or misses their engage, Hail of Blades is incredibly strong with punishing them. Now, the only flip side with Hail of Blades, what I should have said before, is of course you have to wait 4 seconds out of combat before you be able to, before it it re-triggers again. But it's like, it's pretty simple. You just don't attack for a little bit. Now it does you just don't attack for a quick couple of seconds, and that's it. It's like, it's fine. Now the flaw of Hail of Blades though is the fact that you actually have to stop. It's only useful for engaging trades. It's only useful after that. Press the attack and conquer outshines, because it pretty much it doesn't have no like internal cooldown. You could just trigger that. You could trigger it on somebody, and then you could trigger it on the next opponent that that tries to fight you. So when you're still in combat, you have to get the most out of the Hail of Blades. You have to get the most out of Hail of Blades before it goes down, because then it's like you're relying on the ADs, your extra AD to deal the damage. Now you don't have no other thing to proc. Like press the attack can proc, like either press the attack and proc the 3 hit stacks for extra damage and extra exposure damage too. And then conquer, of course, can have the extra you have 5 stacks, increase your AD per stack, and also give you true damage and a little bit of healing. Healing, the damage converted from true damage is also is converted to healing as well. But yeah, Hail of Blades is like you hit with you get your burst attack speed, and then it just goes down, and you have to wait 4 seconds. So if you're still in the fight, then it's like you pretty much have to make sure you're making the most out of the Hail of Blades trade first thing before you end that fight, before you end that trade, because it's going to take 4 seconds for the attack speed to come back. So yeah, for Kleds, you can go to Hail of Blades, press the attack, conquer, whatever suits you, or you can go the regular grass build, sorcery build, which like I said, I can't express enough how this rune page is really good on Camille in general in terms of max and Q and such things. So I prefer that as well. Cannons was another matchup. For being on the really safe side, I recommend going the Arcane Comet build, only because I'm just trying to play the poke game against Cannons, because it's really risky going the Hail of Blades or press the attack and conquer build against Cannons, because Cannons have really good zoning, really good poking, and if you miss your hook shot, or if you fail your engage on the Cannon, they can punish you, as well as they have their ult up as well. The stun from the stuns that he has is really irritating as well. It makes it kind of hard to benefit out of that, but you do outscale him really well. But if you want to make the laning phase easier for yourself though, I do recommend going the Arcane Comet runes. Okay, that's for Ken. So Rise hasn't been seen. Well, I haven't seen Rise up tops in a little while. However, still my best bet for dealing with a Rise in lane is Arcane Comet. Actually going double magic resist, which is or you can actually go adapt the double AD force. However, the difference between going the double AD and the double like magic resist or armor runes and such things is because when you go to double AD, it's really effective in the early game in terms of having that extra damage. But it's like if you're going against somebody that you know is gonna be like, it's gonna kind of like scale really good just by having like one little item or such things, or not having like being able to still do crazy damage just by having like one item or half an item or such things, or if you're going against somebody that's able to reach their item spike a lot faster than you, then I would recommend going to double armor or magic resist runes, only just to prepare for that better. Only to prepare for that a lot better, you know, because if you go to extra AD, then you're looking to do more damage, but you'll still be essentially a little bit weaker. So when somebody's able to reach their item spike faster than you, then it's like you're kind of going to be dealt a bit more damage in a way. So you want to, if you want to play on the safe side against like a Rise or something, you can benefit by just going Arcane Comet, pretty much being able to try to zone them back, because you know a lot of Rises will try to zone you as much as they can. If you do, you do in terms of scaling against a Rise, you know, Rise is insane when it comes to late game. So in a sense, only because you have true damage, this is one of the biggest reasons why you're able to withstand against them, in a sense. So you can actually look to hard outscale and play on the defensive. You can go to double magic resist runes when you go on the Hail of Blades build, or go on the press the attack and conquer, such things. But my best bet to be on the safe side is going Arcane Comet. The problem is going Arcane Comet is because you're relying on your W to poke or to zone, and that kind of leaves you open if you're in a bad position in the lane. It kind of leaves you open to get hit by Rise's QWE combo, you know, in like a split second. The moment, because it's like when you use your W, it kind of leaves you open, you know, in terms of getting hit by things. So you want to be careful on how you use that. But I do prefer going Arcane Comet if I do see a Rise up top. Singed players are a little bit rare. I don't see Singed nowadays anymore. I do, of course, usually prefer going the grass build, sorcery secondary like usual, or you can actually do the Hail of Blades build to benefit from the extra attack speed that you get, so you don't have to rely on hookshot too much. If you do miss your hookshot, or if he does catch you mid hookshot or something like that, you know, then you're able to benefit from the attack speed. Go and press the attack, conquer, whatever you suits you. You can also go the Arcane Comet against them if you want to resort to zoning them with your W. It's optional in a sense, but those are my preferred runes for Singed. Urgots is a little bit rare. I haven't seen Urgots in the lane in a little while, but I do, of course, like I said, you can always just go the grass sorcery rune page, or you can resort to the Hail of Blades. I actually have gone Hail of Blades against Urgots, and it actually is pretty effective in the lane. You can resort to press the attack, conquer, whatever suits you. But me, I prefer Hail of Blades or just the grass sorcery secondary runes. And then last but not least, Vladimir's, since you know for a fact Vladimir's is hard, is a nuisance to deal with in lane, only because of his blood pool. You can almost never engage on him as long as he has that up. A lot of Vladimir's will simply play the wait game, where they wait for you to engage and then they hit the blood pool, and then now they're like, oh, now you're stuck. Now you're stuck. So best bet is just resorting to Arcane Comet, going double AD runes, and just going to magic resist runes, only because, you know, Vlad's early game is very weak, so you can pretty much abuse that by just harassing him and zoning him with your W, maximizing the damage with Arcane Comet and Scorch and the absolute focus and the AD ratios and such things, and you'll be fine. That's really what I have to say for that. So now moving on to the easy matchups now, which, I mean, in the easy matchups, you can really go anything in this case now. You can go anything in these matchups. So, starting off with Garen's. The best runes for Garen's actually is this Keystone actually. Well, you can actually go the Hail of Blades, press the attack rune page if you want. Whatever suits you, but for me, dealing with Garen's, it's more so of me maxing Q and being able to trade blows with him, because it's gonna be more so like a Q trading thing. Like, it's gonna be me trading with my Q, him trading with his Q. With the grass build, my Q is always gonna be superior to his, so this is what I do. I'm going against him, and it makes the lane much easier for me. Kale. Now, I underestimated Kale. I put Kale as an easy matchup, however, that's only because of her early game being much better than you. Her early game being much weaker than yours. However, late game, it is a whole different ball game. It is a whole different ball game going against a Kale at her maximum potential in late game. So your best bet is to try to destroy her as much as you can in the laning phase. So in order to do that, you can either go Arcane Comet. You can either harass her down with your W, maximize the damage with double AD force, or magic resist runes, whatever suits you. Or you can actually go the hard carry, Hail of Blades, and play really aggressive against her in the early game. That way you can get a lead against her, and that way you can get to your late game faster than she gets to hers. That way you can destroy her before she turns into a freaking monster. So yeah, that's more so what I prefer to go against her. You can go the grass build, but you're actually going to be slower. You're actually going to be a lot slower. You will be able to deal big hits when you do catch her. But in terms of like really playing super aggressive against her is what you actually really want to do. Make it hard for her in the early game. That way it's hard for her to get to her late game power spike. You want to play aggressive against her, going to using Arcane Comet or using Hail of Blades. Whatever suits you. Going the grass build is actually recommended if you want to have an extra defense on you when she does reach her late game spike. So that does help with that. But my preferred bet is Arcane Comet, Hail of Blades, or press the attack, conquer, or even grasp sorcery, whatever suits you. Echoes. Echoes is not seen in top lanes like that. I may only seen maybe one Echo before. In like maybe out of 100 matches lately, I've only seen probably one Echo up top or something. So you hard outscale him. Hail of Blades actually does rip him apart in terms of when he does miss his abilities, when you do dodge his Qs, when he does try to aggressively use his E in a sense, or when his W misses, or when he doesn't have that, or when his W is on cooldown in a sense. It's like you can really go really aggressive against them and just completely destroy him. Or you can actually go, in some cases I like to play real cheesy, going Arcane Comet just to harass and zone them. But you hard outscale Echoes in general anyway, so you can go press the attack, conquer, Hail of Blaze, it don't even matter. Quins are really rare. I don't see Quins almost anymore, but you do hard outscale her, so my best bet, I used to play the safe route going Arcane Comet, which you still can do, but since you do hard outscale her, and the best time to trade with her is when she vaults on you, and especially when you're next to a wall, you can just immediately jump right back on her. And Hail of Blaze, of course, excels in those short trades against champs like her, especially squishy champs like her as well. So she is very strong. She is very weak. You do outscale her hard. Hail of Blaze, press the attack, destroys her within seconds. So if she's really good though in terms of Ronin and gets a lead, you do want to wait until you get to your late game or get to your mid game spike. That way you can just withstand her, because you don't want to do too bad in the lane to where it's hard to fight her. You know, mid game. Silas, you do hard outscale him. There has been, recent changes to him where he doesn't have a shield. His shield from his E isn't overall no more. It's more of a magic shield now, so he's more so played in the mid lane. He is played in top lane a lot often. I've seen people change to using they use Conquer on Silas now. So Conquer Silas is actually pretty strong. But you do hard outscale him, Hail of Blades, Conquer, press the attack, whatever you choose. Best bet to go against him. He's pretty much not even that hard to play against in the lane for real. If you're not, if you don't mess up. If you mess up though, it can be a problem to you, but not to me. Nars, you still hard outscale Nars. If you want to pretty much make the lane easier for yourself, you can go Arcane Comet. You can add the extra AD, or you can add the double armor runes, because if Nars play aggressive, try to poke you a lot, you can pretty much withstand that poke with the extra defense. And of course, going Arcane Comet increases your poking damage with Scourge and Absolute Focus, Resolve Secondary, Overgrowth, Second Wind. Of course, against pokes like Gnar, you can have some extra HP regain from Duran's Shield, Second Wind, such things. Or if you really want to play the hard outscale route, you can go press the attack, conquer, or Hail of Blades, whatever suits you best. Alaois is, I rarely see Alaois like that. I've only played against Alaois with Hail of Blades a couple times though. You are pretty weak in the early game in terms of her. She is a pretty big bruiser, and especially it really determines on how often you're hit with tentacles. You can dodge her tentacles easily because you're more mobile than her. But it's more so becomes a thing where it's like you don't want to get caught in her her spirit grab, and you want to be able to try and dodge her ultimate as much as you can, because if you get hit by her ultimate, it can be a problem. Alawi did get changed a bit more, but it's nothing really noticeable. She still kind of plays the same, but you can go Hail of Blades if you're looking to really hard out scaler, or you can resort to the grass build, which helps you in terms of tankiness and have the extra durability. Whichever suits you, whatever you feel like is going, whatever you feel like suits you. But those are what I usually prefer to go against her. Yasuo's are so fun. Yasuo's are always so fun. The grass build, of course, completely can dominate Yasuo completely in the lane, and the Hail of Blade rules can also dominate Yasuo's completely. Press the attack. If you're looking to hard scale, are pretty much looking to be very aggressive against Yasuo's in the lane. These keystones will just destroy him completely in the lane. Trust me, that's what I usually go. Yoriks are really rare to see anymore, but when you do see them, I actually do this one. I actually resort to this one. This grass build, going the extra sustain, kind of to keep me in the lane a bit longer, you know, because he's a really strong pusher. And of course, it's kind of similar to Garen, where it's more so like a Q, like a trading with Qs thing. You know, trading with Qs. However, your Q, of course, is going to be more superior than his because yours is true damage and yours is really strong in terms of mid and late game. But having the Bloodline secondary, last stand, increase your lifesteal, increase your sustain, so you'll be able to stay in the lane a lot more. And second wind, you can also go bone plating, or you can go second wind, whatever suits you better. But this is what I prefer to go against with Yoriks. Really helps me in the lane a lot. The Hail of Blades, press the attack, conquer runes is also another choice that you can go against Yoriks, but for me, my best bet is this right here. What I prefer to do. And Rumbles aren't really seen in the lane as much anymore. But my best bet with Rumbles, because you hard out scale them, I don't fear no Rumbles, so I resort to Hail of Blades, press the attack, conquer, whatever suits you. And I go, actually I switch it up. I can either go Bloodline or I'd go the Sorcery secondary for the extra AD scaling, but more so I prefer the Bloodline for the extra lifesteal, which really helps me, which really helps with sustain, really helps with really helps with sustain, and it helps with dueling as well. So, I mean, yeah, and yeah, magic secondary. I'm sorry, magic resist rules. And Nasus. Now, Nasus. It's really hard when I go against a Nasus. Not really hard for me, but it's more so like it's hard to try to keep a Nasus down because Nasus players know that their early game is going to be weak. So there's two types of Nasus players. You got the Nasus players that play really defensively. They allow you to push the lane so they can farm under tower. That way they can farm up their Qs. And then once they get to a certain amount of stacks, that's when they turn the tides on you and just run you down or try to fight you. You know, once they know they have a number amount of stacks that's really good in terms of fighting back, or when they have the items that they need to be able to fight back. You have that kind of Nasus that plays really defensively and allows you to push the lane so they can just farm up and then be able to come back on you like within 10-15 minutes later in the game. Or you have the Nasus that hard shove, the Nasus that max their E's. I think it's W, right? Or max their whatever that spirit stuff, whatever it's. I don't even remember the name because I don't even play Nasus, so I don't even know his abilities like that. I just know what it is because of what I see, or I just know what it is because of what I see. But you got those that max these. I think it says E, if I really recall correctly. If it's E, correct me if I'm wrong. But they max that to hard shove the lane, and I've dealt with that a few times, and it is so irritating. While they trade off the early game. They trade the weak early game that he has for a strong early game by just maxing that and just hard shoving the lane. And it's really a problem because it's like it's really damaging. You know, when you think about it, it can be really damaging because of how fast it hits you. As soon as it hits the ground, it just deals a quick burst of damage and stuff. So it's really hard to deal with. It kind of makes your laning phase suckish in a sense. But going against Nasus in general, when they are playing the regular Nasus style, you might be surprised to hear this, that I actually do the resolve sorcery because I max my Q in this. So I'm maxing my Q. I'm trying to deal as much damage with my Q as much as possible. I do play aggressive against them, you know, in terms of hook shotting in and trying to hit him and trying to blow my abilities when he does try to go for a stack. But I feel like going the grass build in terms of knowing that he's going to be able to scale really good no matter how hard I play against him, no matter how aggressive I play, no matter how much I have him pushed up to his tower, no matter how much I make it hard for him to farm his stacks, he will always somehow still be able to farm and stack up no matter what. So this more so prepares that. This rune page more so prepares for that. So I would actually go conditioning, and I will go double armor runes because I'm preparing for the late games, for the late game Nasus. So I'm still playing aggressive with them, you know. I'm still playing aggressive against them, maximizing my Q, maximizing my damage with, you know, with made with Q trades and such things. But I'm also preparing for the late game stacks that he might have, no matter how aggressive I play against them. So conditioning helps with that. Double armor runes help with that. I'm going, you know, ninja tabbies, and also being able to scale good into late game as well with the absolute focus and gathering storm and overgrowth, you know, and the extra HP from overgrowth and grasp of the undying. So that's more so my strategy. I know a lot of people might say go on the press the attack and conquer against Nasus. They're really good in terms of making it really hard for the late game, but it's like you kind of are more, you're less durable. It's like, the way I think about it, you're less durable when you do that. When you go the hard scaling runes where it comes to, you know, dealing, like when you go the hard scaling runes like Halo Blades, Press the Attack, and Conquer, it's like you're more squishy. And once he gets to that mid-game spike, or gets to that stacks, that gets to the stacks that he needs to be able to fight back, then it's like, it becomes, if he hasn't been defeated in lane, then it's more so like, you're not going to be able to do anything. You're not going to be able to really defend yourself that much because he's going to be able to just completely beat you almost every time. So at least with this rune page, you're actually going to be more durable to withstand them. So that's what I feel like that's what I prefer to go against. So yes, these are my preferred runes, or this is my preferred strategy against a lot of matchups. One thing I'm sorry that I forgot to discuss was Mordekaiser's rework. Mordekaiser's rework was one thing that I forgot to discuss, actually. Mordekaiser was changed, and there's been people that's been asking me questions on how to deal with Mordekaiser in the lane. What I rank him as is moderate. He's moderate in the lane. He's not too hard to deal with. The thing about him is that you want to be very careful in how often he uses his, and how often you get hit by his abilities. One thing you want to be very careful of is how often you get hit by his abilities in the lane. Pre-level 6 though, pre-level 6 you are able to beat him in the lane, but after level 6 that's when it kind of becomes a problem to deal with him because he has his ultimate, he traps you in the Shadow Realm. If Camille tries to go in for short trades, he can just ult you and then you're stuck there. You have to try to fight him or try to survive, and if you die then he becomes even stronger after that. So it's more so of like, you want to be very careful, and then once he lit 6, because you don't want to be in a bad position in the lane to where he can just run you down when you have no cooldowns. That, and like I said, being mindful of how often he hits you with his abilities is because of his passive. Remember, he hits with 3 attacks or 3 spells. He gains an aura, movement speed. The aura drains your health as long as you're in it. So that is like the main ability that allows him to run you down, and you want to be able to, you want to pay attention to his cooldowns or how often he uses his abilities. If he uses his Q on a minion or uses his Qs on minions, you know for a fact that's a perfect time to try and engage on him, because that's one less ability he has for the time being to proc his passive. He does, you know, if he still autos you, of course, but it's like his autos are slow. So if you can get a good nice amount of damage in before he even gets his passive up, that's good. Then you have his W. You want to pay attention also to when he has his to how much he has in store for his shield. If you see that he has about like half his resource bar for that, you can pay attention to the resource bar. If you see that he has like over half, you know he's going to end up converting that into a shield. If you do try to engage on him, you want to wait for him to try to use that. At a random notice, because a lot of Mordekaiser will use it only just to get the heal out of it. So once you see them use that for the heal, that's another perfect time for you to be able to trade with him, because he doesn't have no resource bar to be able to convert into a shield anymore. He has to pretty much he has to pretty much deal more. He has to keep on dealing damage to, like, you know, minions and dealing damage to you in order to stack that resource bar back up. So once that's down or once that's low to where he can't convert into a shield, that's a good time to fight him. And his E, of course, is a pull. You know, simple. If he pulls you, it also allows him to trigger. It also this ability allows him to trigger his passive too. So if he misses this, that's one less ability he has to be able to trigger it. So yeah. And then there's his Vanish to the Shadow Realm. Yes, this freaking crazy ability. Once he traps you in it, cuts you off from all your allies in the enemy team, so you're pretty much in a 1v1. It's like Camille's ult in a sense, but you can move around it a lot more. It's a bigger arena type thing, and he steals a portion of your stats. And if he kills you, he keeps those stats until you respawn. So yeah, that's something that is a big reason why it's kind of difficult to deal with him once he's level 6. But in terms of like I said, if it's not hard to deal with him in the lane. It's just more so of the laning phase, man. It's more so of the laning phase. If you pay attention to his ability usage, if you dodge his abilities, because everything is dodgeable, you know, you're more mobile than him. He's essentially kind of like you in a sense, but just less mobile. He's kind of like Camille when you really think about it, but he's just not mobile. He can't move that much. You know, he has no mobility. So you can kite him, you can move around, dodge his abilities, and then of course make him not be and deny him the ability to use his passive. It's pretty much the best bet I can say for Mordekaiser. So I put him in a moderate tier, moderate matchups. So he's not that difficult to deal with. Anyway, though, so yes, I hope I was able to answer people's questions on this episode. Thank you for tuning in once again. It has been quite an experience on the Rift so far in terms of being a Camille main and, you know, making progress in the ranks and such things, and being an inspiration to most people. So like I said, thank you all for supporting me. I do greatly appreciate it so much. Thank you all for tuning into the guide. I do hope to see y'all in the next episode. I do want to do people have been asking me to do demonstration videos on, like, you know, matchups and such things. So you just have to leave in the comment section what matchup you would like to see me do a demonstration video of, and I will definitely do that in the next episode. So from future episodes, it's going to be demonstrations on different matchups and such things. Or I might toss in some special episodes or some cases if people have more questions about, you know, my playstyle with Camille and such things. So I might dedicate an episode to those questions and such things. So thank you all for tuning in. I do greatly appreciate that once again. Also, I'm sorry, one thing I forgot to add is that I started a new clan, MMG Official, which MMG stands for Mugga Millz Gang. So if you're looking to join the clan, hit me up on Twitch or add me as a friend in game, Steph J Millz, and I'll be able to add you in if y'all want to be a part of the new game that I'm trying to make for my followers, actually for my subscribers on Twitch. You know what I'm saying? My subscribers on Twitch actually can get invited to this clan as well. So be sure to subscribe to my Twitch channel if you want to be a part of the new gang I'm creating. If you want to be a part of, like, a little community that I'm building for everybody. So, you know, feel free to do that. But thank y'all for tuning in. Take care of yourselves, and I will catch y'all in the next episode, y'all. Peace.